justice and peace and equality. Now the world they will see.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. And today we have Miss Asha Ellen of Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful. How are you today, Miss Ellen?
I am great. How are you?
It is awesome. I'm glad to have you in our studio. Glad to be able to share some of the great things that's happening in the city of Macon, in the county of Bibb, and some of the great things you have accomplished over the past 30 years. Right?
Oh, wow. You're trying to tell my age now.
Hey, it's okay. I'm pretty sure by your story you have been working since you were yay high, so
yes.
I can tell, all the great things you're doing. Now, you started out in the public and private sector of nonprofit work as well as community service work. Tell us who is Miss Asha. I'm sorry. Ellen, tell us who you are.
Well, wow, over my 52 years, it's a lot to tell, but just to go back a little bit, I was born in Paterson, New Jersey, and my family, I moved to Macon in 1980 with my grandparents, who were originally from Macon. They, like many other black people, had migrated to the north in the 50s, but around 1980, my mother had passed away, and so my grandparents wanted to get back to Georgia. And so I consider Macon, Georgia, as far as home. That's where I've been since 1980, since the third grade. So I went through elementary, middle, and high school, graduated from the Southwest High School in Macon, Georgia. And then from there, I went on to college. Georgia Southern University is where I graduated from, and then came back to Macon. That was not a part of the original plan, however, but I came back to Macon, and so my undergraduate degree was in business administration with an emphasis in management, and so my first job right out of college was working in for Kmart Corporation in their executive manager trainee program. And went through that program, and then worked in the retail management industry for a few years, and I eventually transitioned over to Coca-Cola in the late 90s and was there for a little bit over a decade, and then so that was my introduction as far as in corporate America, working for the private sector. And then I eventually just wanted to change after getting my master's in public administration. I wanted to transition into the nonprofit sector. And so so I went from corporate, from the private sector to the nonprofit profit sector, and then eventually worked also for the Macon Judicial Circuit with the first African-American and first female district attorney, Anita Reynolds Howard. I worked on her leadership team before transitioning to 3 years ago to where I am now as the executive director of Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful.
Wow, phenomenal resume.
So over that 30 years, working for the private sector, the public sector, nonprofit, and now in the nonprofit sector.
Man, that is awesome. And you are the first African-American executive director of Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What a phenomenal achievement. It's a lot of history that comes out of Macon.
Yes.
It's a lot of history. We talked about the Douglas Center. We talked about, I believe Otis Redding.
We have Otis Redding, Little Richard, James Brown, not from Macon, but basically got his start in Macon. Most people don't realize the impact that Macon had on the career of James Brown. But then you also have other artists like the Allman Brothers as well. So Macon has a very rich musical history.
Oh, awesome. Now, Macon has definitely changed in leadership, has definitely grown. It's becoming more progressive, the county of Bibb. Things are changing. What role does Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful play in beautifying and making Macon and Bibb County an attractive place to come to?
Okay. Well, just to give you a little brief history about Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, the organization is a nonprofit 501c1 that was established in 1974. So 51 years old. Was founded by Carolyn Creighton. Those who are from Macon may be familiar with her name, as far as she was also the founder of the International Cherry Blossom Festival, which is real big, not just throughout Macon, throughout the state, but really it's international throughout the world. And so Back in 1974, of course, now we're in 2025. It's a different Macon than what it was.
Right, go ahead.
Than what it was 51 years ago. So the Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, even though it's a local organization in Macon, it's a part of a national network, and that's Keep America Beautiful.
Oh,
so
wow.
you have Keep America Beautiful, and then you also have on the state level, we have Keep Georgia Beautiful.
Okay.
And then throughout the state of Georgia, you actually have about 70 affiliates, with Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful actually being the first local affiliate that was established by Keep America Beautiful over 50 years ago.
Oh, wow,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
And you guys excuse me for my phone ringing because we tell all our guests to make sure your phones are down when your phone is on. But so you guys excuse me, but we had made a call to Dr. Maya Speller of Beyond Your Ordinary, and she called in at the same time with our Make It Connect. So we apologize about that. That was a technical error. However, back to where we started. Now, so this nonprofit is it a diverse nonprofit? I mean, tell us like what role, as far as how it started, what role, enticed you to say, hey man, I want to be a part of this?
Okay. Well, Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful was never on my radar. Okay. Growing up in Macon, even though the organization itself is 51 years old, really just a year younger than I am, I never was aware really of Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful growing up. I'm going to be honest. And so how I became involved with the organization is I was appointed by our current mayor to serve on the board. Okay. This was while I was at the district attorney's office. So around 2001, 2002, I was appointed to serve on the 2021. Okay. I was appointed by the current mayor to serve on the board. Okay. And so that was really my introduction to Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful. But that short period of time while serving on the board, I became very interested as far as expanding the depth and breadth of the organization as far as making sure that, like I said, I grew up in Macon, in South Macon to be exact, and I was not aware of the organization. I feel like the mission and the goal of the organization is very important. So if someone like me who was very active growing up, very active within the community, was not aware of it, then how many other people were not aware? So I wanted to make sure that the organization, and this was as a board member, that we were reaching all parts of the community. To be very transparent, in its earlier years, in its beginning, the organization was known as a more elitist type organization. And because of that, it even though the mission and the goals of the organization was definitely to beautify the community, certain people may not have necessarily been reached or received that message, and I can speak honestly for myself. I was one of those people who did not receive the message. Yes, I knew just by how I was raised to not litter, but I didn't know about the beautification efforts and what Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful was doing in the community. And so I was very intentional when I then transitioned from a board member to the executive director. I was very intentional of making sure that we were reaching all parts of the community, all segments of the community. The demographics of Macon has changed since the founding of this organization in 1974. So we can't. I was like, we can't continue to run this organization like it's 1974. Correct. When now it's, it's 20. At this time, it was 2023, 2022, 2023, and even where we are now in 2025. And so just making sure that being very intentional of reaching all parts and all segments of our population.
In all segments. And Macon, the county of Bibb, is a beautiful city. I know you can come in some parts. Let's say, I know when we go to Backway through Jackson and all of those little small country towns on the back road. We don't take 75. You come in right directly to like a mall.
You come into to the northern side of Macon.
Okay, the northern side. Now it's very well taken care of on that side.
Yes,
very well. Now you say you're from the south side of Macon.
Yeah,
right?
but I've been in the north. I've been in North Macon though now for almost 25. Well, longer than that, but about at least 25 years.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But my family history goes back to North Macon since 1894.
Wow.
Because my grandmother's grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, who was born an enslaved man after freedom, that after slavery, he actually at one point in time owned over 300 acres of land in North Macon.
Oh, wow.
And so myself and several of his other descendants live on that property. So I always tell people North Macon has always been known to the demographics to be majority Caucasian.
Right.
But I was like, well, my family roots go back since 1894. So
on the north side of town.
On the north side of town.
So now I've been to Macon and talking about the north and the south, and keeping Macon-Bibb beautiful. What is the plan? Because it's some rough areas on the south. Like now that you're the executive director, you can advocate for both sides of the aisle because you have communication with people on the north and people on the south, as well as support from the local government. What is your vision for taking that south side and saying, hey, how can we improve this? Or what do we do? Where do we start from?
Okay. I don't want to neglect also the east side of Macon
Yes.
and the west side of Macon, which are also in the east side. We have Fort Hill, which is a historical community.
Okay.
And then on the west side, you have communities like Unionville, you have Pleasant Hill. And so I don't want to neglect, because those are historic communities, historic African-American communities.
Oh, wow.
That over the years have been in a state of neglect and decline.
Okay.
But to answer your question though, South Macon is a challenge.
Okay.
It really is. I have had through various grants, have had the opportunity to, what I'm working on right now in the future.
Okay.
The present in the future is doing some beautification initiatives, working with the one of the elementary schools in the community.
Okay.
But also trying to rebuild and work with the Neighborhood Watch, a couple of the Neighborhood Watch associations in the community.
Okay.
But South Macon, I admit, has been a challenge. Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful. We're a small nonprofit organization.
Right.
We do work with other community partners. We work with the citizens, and so I'm hoping now that with some future grant funding that hopefully we will receive,
yes.
we can start doing more in South Macon to sort of mirror what we've been successful in East Macon. So I can definitely tell you some of the things that we've done and we're doing in East Macon.
Okay.
East Macon has a very strong Neighborhood Watch Association.
Okay.
That always helps when you have the support of citizens.
Wow.
They also have a very strong current commissioner, Commissioner Stanley Stewart,
Okay.
but also the previous commissioner, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, who is now also the water board member of that service, that East Macon community.
Okay.
So when you have that type of support from citizens and you also have that type of support from the elected officials, an organization like mine, it really helps because we could sort of come in and help to sort of bridge the gap and to maybe be able to supplement maybe some of the things that maybe at the current time our local government maybe cannot do.
Right.
So an example of that is there's a park in the Fort Hill community, the Fort Hill Community Park. Some people may call it the Eastview Park. It just depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
But it's on Eastview, in the corner of Eastview Avenue and Hawkinsville Avenue in Fort Hill.
Okay.
And so we were able to work with another nonprofit, but we were able to acquire grant funding, one through AARP, another grant through Cox Communications, and then another grant through Keep America Beautiful, and combine those funds to beautify that park.
Okay.
The other nonprofit, Grow Macon Inc., ran by a young lady who's from that community, Charm Myers.
Okay.
She created a community garden, so we were able to partner with her to do things to enhance the garden, but also do improvements on the playground itself. And through that, we worked with the local government, with the Parks and Recreation Department, to be able to get new playground equipment, new picnic equipment, and pavilions, picnic tables, add more trees to the playground, as well as we worked with a local artist named Kevin Sing Lewis, who did the East Side is known for their East Side Out Loud theme. So we were able to create and do a mural on the basketball court. So some of those projects have been complete. Some are ongoing, but we hope to have that whole project for that part completed by this fall. So the goal is to then take what we've learned in that experience, because this was a 2 to 3 year project in the making.
Nothing that happened overnight. Did not
happen overnight. I had to get the money a little bit at a time. And do what we could with what we had. So the Macon-Bibb County local government coming on board with providing the funds to upgrade the playground equipment, and then we were able to come in and also do our part with the other enhancements. So taking that same model, hopefully we will be able to spread that same model throughout Macon, from South Macon to West Macon, throughout the community, focusing on our underserved communities. On your
underserved communities. And what made you start What made you start on the East Side? I heard you say something about it was historic. How important was it to preserve the historic district of the city of Macon and County of Bibb?
Well, it's very important. And I'm just going to be honest, you've heard as far as a brief bit of my bio, we all as citizens, we get up, we go to work, we take our kids to school, we do whatever we do, but we probably just go our same routes, our same paths day to day. And we're not really entrenched in the neighborhoods, especially if we don't live in those neighborhoods. And so prior to my role with Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, even though I was very actively involved in various capacities and various organizations throughout the city, it wasn't until I got into this role where I was really deep. Seriously, boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
And then you then begin to see the blinders all of a sudden come off. And that's when you realize that, wow, there are people in our community who are still struggling. There are people in our community, when you ride through certain parts of our community, you wonder, has anyone paid attention in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Because certain parts of our community, you would think that you are in a third world country. And even when I drive back through my old neighborhood in South Macon, which I'll be there later on this evening when I leave here. But I feel like, wow, am I even still in Macon? Am I still home? Because this does not look like certain parts of town. This does not look like where I grew up. So that's when you realize that, you've been given a responsibility to help be a part of the solution. We can continue to complain, but if we're not putting action behind those complaints, if we're not developing strategic plans and partnerships, then it's all in vain.
It's definitely all in vain, and partnerships are key to rebuilding communities, and that's partnerships from leadership, from the community, from the people, from advocates who believe in this. And it's crazy because I know myself riding through Macon when I'm riding from Atlanta to Savannah or just going down that way, I'm almost seeing like two different Macons, like you said, the north side, the south side, and
it's more like four different Macons. You're gonna have to come back, and I'm gonna take you on a tour.
So it's definitely it's definitely blocked in 4 different blocks. So we're gonna talk about more about Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful. We have Miss Asha. Ellen. Oh man, you guys. Miss Asha Ellen, you guys. We have her right here in the building on Game Changers Media Network, Game Changers Magazine, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts the conversation.
And equality.